Hey everybody, Sawyer Merritt here, and we're back at it again with another new version of FSD. We just downloaded FSD version 14.1.7. I was on 14.1.4 previously, so they skipped over .5 and .6. I figured we would start our drive, and what's interesting with this mode, or rather with this new version of FSD, is that it merges the 2025.38 branch. And so, as you can see, I am able to access Tron mode now. And the red LED lights are brighter than they typically are too, which is kind of cool. And along with that is the 3D buildings on the map. So that's now accessible with version 14 of FSD. And you guys seem to like these sort of raw 1x speed commentary style First Drive videos of FSD, so I figured I'd do that tonight. And we're just going to start off by going to a Tesla supercharger, and we'll do maybe 45-ish minutes of driving tonight, go around at different stops, just sort of drop random pins on the map and see how FSD does. What we're really looking for is the elimination of the remaining brake hesitation, or rather the sudden braking issues and the hesitation issues, which have slowly gotten better over time, but there were still issues remaining on 14.1.4. So hoping 14.1.7 tonight will perform well for us. I do have a new camera tonight, so a little bit of an upgrade. You should be able to see the screen a little bit more clearly, hopefully. I don't hopefully the settings are what they need to be for you to be able to see. But yeah, it's been a few weeks since we got a new version of FSD, so I'm excited to try this out. It's crazy how much brighter these ambient lights are with the Tron mode. Typically, you can only have them this bright previously when you were parked, and then when you would put in the car into drive, they would dim it, I guess, just for safety reasons. But with Tron mode, they didn't do that, which I like. I always wanted them to be brighter while you were driving, and now it feels like a true spaceship now that it's brighter. Got the nice red. That noise you're hearing is the Tron mode turn signal, which I hope doesn't get too annoying. We'll see. If I get annoyed by that, I'll just turn off Tron mode. So it's 8:45 right now, so there should be more people out than on my previous video, which is good. But again, I'm still in southern New Hampshire, so it's not LA or Boston or something. So I'm not going to have that level of difficulty. But winter is creeping up on us, and I'm really curious to see how version 14 does in the snow, especially as a version 14.2 and 14.3 come out, and we'll get even more capabilities, new features and whatnot. All right, let's see how it backs in. Perfect. All right. So we're not going to be doing a ton of newer areas. The point is to sort of try similar areas to see how it compares to previous versions. So we're going to do that. I'm going to choose a curbside style drop off. By the way, one thing I was noticing on version 14.1.7 on the way here was that on the highway in previous versions, it would almost immediately go up to 85 miles an hour if there was no traffic, just wide open. And it would switch lanes a lot. and almost just completely hugged the left side of the highway, or the left lane rather. But on the way over here, I was on Mad Max mode, and it did not hit 85 once, despite there being absolutely no cars around me whatsoever, no traffic. I don't think it went above 82 actually. And it kind of stayed in the middle lane. It favored like maybe the middle left lane. And so I'm wondering if Tesla sort of tuned it a little bit, the behavior, to not be so aggressive on the highway, which I think some people were asking for. Sometimes it would just change lanes too much for people's liking, or I'm hesitant to turn off Tron mode because I don't like that turn signal sound. Yeah, let's just turn it off. As much as I like the bright red lights, see how dim it got? Look, watch, I'll turn it back on. Oh no, I can't do it while I'm driving. All right, that's fine. But look how dim the red lights are now compared to what they were on Tron mode. And let me know how the audio is in this drive as well. I have a mic hooked up to my new camera, so hoping the audio is clear. Come on. Long light. A little hesitation there. There was a person on the sidewalk to the right, so I wonder if it thought that person was gonna maybe cross the street, but nothing terrible. Alright, so there are some remaining slight brake issues. Um, they're very minor. Ooh, some indecision there. All right, so I guess we'll have to wait till Elon did reply today to someone that a lot of these sort of hesitation and sudden braking issues will be worked out by or in version 14.2. There hasn't been a huge difference in the last couple versions, really. All right. Doing a curbside style drop off here. Oh, nice. It's going to parallel park. Was not expecting that. Let's see how it does. Nice job. All right, let me just quickly take my jacket off. All right. Let's figure out where we're going to go next. Let's go here. And we will... Ooh, it's waiting for the car. Nice. And we'll do sort of a curbside drop-off. Can't believe it's almost the end of the year. Mid-November already. Crazy. And we finally got Elon's 2025 CEO Performance Award passed last week. That's great news. In my view, an incredibly shareholder-friendly deal. If Elon doesn't deliver, he gets nothing. If he does deliver, he gets a lot, and shareholders get even more. All right, stop here on red, so it does see that sign. I'm gonna stay on Mad Max mode the whole time if I can. I'm just curious to see how it does. Someone, a follower of mine, sent me a video. I posted it, but I don't know if everyone saw it. But they live up in Quebec, Canada, and it was snowing a few nights ago, and they took FSD out, and the snow was completely covering the lane markings on the road. And FSD was, I think he was in Mad Max mode. But there was one really impressive instance where it was making a turn, and obviously, with a lot of snow on the ground, FSD started to slip, or the car rather started to sort of drift, and FSD automatically sensed that, and it started to counter steer to correct this the skidding, or the sliding, which was awesome to see. And it's going to be really fun to see everyone trying FSD version 14 this winter, because it thinks a lot differently than version 13. It's getting to the point where it feels sentient, honestly. Like, I know people sort of throw that word around a lot, but you can really feel version 14 thinking in a way that version 13 just didn't. Its reaction times are a lot quicker. Its capabilities are a lot better. They just need to work out the sudden braking and hesitation issues. I had a few friends drive down to the Tesla shareholder meeting in Giga, Texas last week. They drove from LA to Austin in their Teslas, and two of them drove there on FSD version 14 and didn't have one single intervention for thousands of miles. I mean, that's pretty wild. I think it's almost time. I think Omar's going to do this, but it's almost time for that cross-country LA to New York drive. I hope he comes up to Boston, from LA to Boston, because then he can finish his journey where I am in my neck of the woods. My guess is he'll attempt that around version 14.3. I've also been getting a lot of DMs, especially since the Q3 earnings call, from people that are in the market to buy a car, and they want to buy a Tesla, but they're really not sure if they should wait until hardware 5 comes out and starts being put in vehicles, or if they should just pull the trigger now, take advantage of some of the Q4 incentives, end of the year incentives, and buy a hardware 4 Tesla now. And I kind of just been telling them, Elon's been at the shareholder meeting in 2024. Elon said that hardware 5 was going to come in late 2025, and here we are, and now Elon's saying in late 2026. And based on what he said on the Q3 earnings call, or maybe it was the shareholder meeting presentation, I don't remember, but it sounds like more like early 2027. And I think that's only when they're going to start to put in hardware 5 into vehicles, and then it's going to take a while for them to actually release a version of FSD that takes full advantage of the extra headroom and the performance capabilities of the hardware 5 chip. And so you're probably looking at like maybe upwards of a year and a half, a couple of years from now, until hardware 5 is really able to shine in the way that Tesla wants it to. Because even when hardware 4 came out, it took Tesla about a year and a half for them to actually, like, version 13 was the first version that really took advantage of hardware 4's capabilities. And this is why hardware 3 owners are stuck on version 12, because the chips aren't powerful enough. They don't have the capabilities. And so I think we're looking at least 2 years probably. And then of course Elon says, 12 to 18 months after hardware 5 comes out, we want to start releasing hardware 6, or AI 6 as he calls it. And hardware 4 has already been out for almost 3 years now. Early next year it'll be 3 years. And so for them to be moving to sort of a 12 to 18 month cycle potentially, that it's going to be moving so quick. where like even if you get hardware 5, hardware 6 might be around the corner. And so I sort of suggest to people just pull trigger on a hardware 4 Tesla now. If you buy FSD, you're likely gonna be guaranteed some level of, hardware upgrade, or I know Tesla has changed the language a bit on the website to maybe that they can get around that legally. But regardless, hardware, they're not done with hardware 4 yet. There's still a lot that they can squeeze out of it in terms of capabilities. And so I would just pull trigger, take advantage of the incentives. You're going to be really happy with the car. And if hardware 5 doesn't come out until late 26, that, to me, that tells us that the Cybercab is going to start production on hardware 4. It's Elon told us last week. They start production at Giga Texas in April of next year. That's 5 months from now. And so that leads you to assume that hardware 5 won't be ready by then. So they're just going to use hardware 4, which to me is very bullish for current hardware 4 users, because if the Cybercab with no steering wheel and no pedals can be a full-on robo-taxi, then surely hardware 4 owners will be, in Model Ys with the steering wheels and whatnot, will be fine. Of course, we'll see, but to me, that's good news. FSD doing well right now. We did have a couple sort of indecision things and hesitation issues, but again, it's not so bad that like I don't want to use FSD or that I feel unsafe, or that it's not like the version 14.1 that was just absolutely brutal that you didn't even want to use FSD really. Don't get me wrong, its capabilities were mind-blowing, but it was just really uncomfortable for daily use. But it's gotten a lot better. Here we are like 6 versions or dot releases later, and they've ironed most of the things out. There's still some remaining issues, and I think they'll fix that with 14.2 based on what Elon's saying. All right, pulling up to the destination here, curbside style drop off. Nice little neighborhood. Nice. This is where I dropped it. The pin. There we go. All right. Let's go maybe over here. Or actually, you know what? I wonder if there's a store we can go to, like a Dunkin'. There we go. Let's do that. Wow, 24-minute drive. You know, maybe that's a bit far, actually. Let's disengage and pick something a little closer, perhaps. Let's do Texas Roadhouse. There we go. So it should find a parking spot at the Texas Roadhouse. Let me know how the new camera's doing. Can you see the screen clearly enough? I was just recording with my iPhone wide angle before, actually, and you couldn't really read whether like Mad Max mode is on, or at least it was just really blurry, but I'm hoping this camera's a bit better. going back to the shareholder meeting, Proposal 7, which was the XAI investment vote, 43% of shareholders voted yes. I think it was like a little under 1.1 billion shares voted yes, and then I think 100 million fewer shares voted no, and then like 450-ish million, 460 million shares abstained, and most of that 400 plus million was Elon. I think he sort of recused himself from the vote due to conflict of interest, it seems like. We don't know that for sure, but I assume. And I did not know this, and it seems like everyone else in the community didn't know this, but Tesla views, according to their bylaws, an abstention vote as a no vote. And so basically, because Elon abstained, and based on what I heard from a lot of people in Europe, their banks only allow you to vote for or against the board's recommendations, and the board did not have a recommendation for proposal number 7 because it was a shareholder proposal, not a Tesla proposal. And they just wanted to be unbiased. And so because of that, a lot of people that would have wanted to vote yes with proposal 7 didn't do so. They essentially were automatically voted as an abstention vote with proposal 7 because they were just only allowed to either vote for or with the board's recommendations. The banks, certain banks and brokerages didn't let them actually select, hey, can you just vote yes on proposal 7? Which is, I don't get how that's legal. That shouldn't be legal. But because of that, there were not only Elon's abstention, but a lot of other abstention votes that probably would have been yes votes. And due to the high volume of abstention votes, the board is basically saying, we're gonna take a look at this, but we view abstention votes as no votes. And due to the high volume of no's, we're gonna have to sort of think this over. And to me, it's not. I guess the board could sort of get creative and figure out how they want to approach this, because I think Tesla shareholders definitely want Tesla to invest in XAI. But it's possible that the board might be sort of in a tough position here due to the fact that less than half of the shareholders voted yes, according to their bylaw standards. And if they were to press forward with a vote, or rather with an investment, that they could potentially be subject to lawsuits. Now, of course, because Tesla is a Texas-based company now, and their bylaws have changed so that to bring forth a derivative action lawsuit similar to the Tornetta case with the Delaware, Elon's 2018 pay package case, you now need to own 3% of all the outstanding shares. So that today equals about $40 billion. And there's only 3 shareholders outside of Elon himself that own $40 billion more of Tesla stock, and that's Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. Vanguard and BlackRock are both sort of pro-Tesla, if you want to call it that. Vanguard owns about over $100 billion worth of Tesla stock, or holds, controls, votes for. BlackRock is about 90 billion. State Street's about 50 billion. State Street's the only one that sort of votes against, or has voted against in the past, against Elon's pay package, both last year and other proposals as well. We don't know how they voted in 25 last week, but we'll find that out next year in the SEC filings in August. All right, so we're going on the highway? Sorry, I'm distracted. Yeah, I guess we are briefly. So you'll see Mad Max mode on the highway. And I think you'll notice it's somewhat restrained compared to what it was, which I think is a good thing, but we'll see. We'll see if it touches 85. Actually, we might be in a 55 zone, so we'll see. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with the XAI vote. It's not looking good, unfortunately, and it's possible, maybe they bring it up again next year, and they could have worded it differently, I think, this time, to be able to encourage more yes votes. But unfortunately, me and others in the retail community, at least, didn't realize that Tesla views abstention votes as no votes, and so we were more focused on getting Elon's 2025 CEO Performance Award proposal passed, which I think is the more important proposal. But unfortunately, that we sort of put the XAI vote a little bit on the back burner in relation to the other vote. So, yeah. Look at the adaptive LED headlights. I love that. I know Europeans have had that for years, but in the U.S., we only got it this year. Actually, I think the Model Y was the first car in the U.S. to have that legally turned on. If not the first, one of the first. So yeah, we'll see what Tesla does. But even if Tesla, were to invest $10 billion in XEI today, it's probably only going to be worth like 5% of the company or something. Oh, this is interesting. Is this how you get to Texas Roadhouse? Oh yeah, there's an access point. Okay. Just gonna find a parking spot. Nice. All right, where to next? Let's do over here again. We're gonna do curbside. How long has this video been? 32 minutes, so that's fine. Oh. No? Okay. Not sure what that was about. But yeah, now it's official that Elon's 2025 Performance Award has been passed, and the 400 plus million shares, I think 423.7 million shares have officially been issued. And so now it's essentially just full steam ahead on executing on the operational and market cap milestones, which is exciting. I would have preferred if it entered Texas Roadhouse's like closer parking lot rather than that, but not the end of the world. It's been a mostly smooth drive. Heading back onto the highway. Soon we're going to be able to get out of our car at our destination, our own car, and it'll go park itself with nobody in the car. Vanish. I can't remember if Elon said that's coming in 14.2 or 14.3, but it's around the corner. And that's going to be really fun to test out. This car is really riding me. And of course, Elon said that by the end of the year, Tesla is going to remove the safety monitors from their parts of Austin, which will be exciting. And soon, Tesla's robotaxi network service is gonna launch in Houston, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Miami, and LA. Oh, and Dallas. Since I recorded my last FSD video, I have had a service visit at my local Tesla service center. I don't know if you guys remember me, but during our drive, it did the robotaxi sort of style front camera clean with the windshield wipers, and no fluid was coming out. And the autopilot team did say, nope, that's not supposed to do that. So they helped me get a service visit, and the team blew out. They didn't find any issues. That's Tesla engineering teams and hardware teams looked at it, and they didn't find any issues. So everything was working as it should have. So they basically just blew out the lines. And I told them, just replace the windshield washer fluid bottle just in case there's anything stuck in there. It's working fine. Okay, so it's a little bit off of where it was supposed to go. So it was supposed to go right there. I'm not sure why it stopped here. That's interesting. So let's go here, see if it'll park. Oh. So we'll do one more stop after this next one, and then maybe we'll call it a night. nice. It slowed down there because the road got narrower and the car was coming on. It squeezed through nicely. By the way, Tesla, if you're listening, please make it so that anytime you take FSD to a grocery store, that the car parks forwards into the parking spot. So that way you can easily access the trunk for put all your groceries in. Sorry, everybody. My camera battery just overheated. So I think we're going to have to call it a night there. Sorry for the abrupt cutoff, but I think we got a good 40-ish minutes of driving there. So I'm going to upload this and, try to upload as quickly as I can. And then we'll see what other FSD versions come out in the coming weeks. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Check me out at Sawyer Merritt on both X and YouTube. You can catch the 4K version of this on YouTube. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.
Move. Move. Body move. Move your body till you can move. Move. Body move. Move your body till you can.
You're running through my mind with a shotgun. I'm running out of time, but I'm not done. Yeah, I don't need to run, it will come to me. I don't need to fight, but I keep moving, keep moving. Even what I lose, yeah, I keep moving. Put on my shoes, yeah, I keep moving. There's no room to refuse. Don't you mess with us, we're not afraid. Look at us, no, there is nothing to discuss. I'm not okay, but I'll get up. I know the way, no, I won't stop. I know this game, I won't give up. It takes some time to reach the top. Let's take a break, here comes the drop. Don't be obsessive, it could be intensive, it could be explosive, it could be offensive. Don't be defensive, don't be aggressive, it will be a waste cause we could be expensive. You need a little fee in your life, you need a little me in your life. I wanna see the sea in your eyes, you need to be free.
Move.